Hello everyone, and welcome to our final lesson on vocabulary. Vocabulary Unit 20 involves terms that are coming from Death of a Salesman by Arthur Miller. Okay, so here we go. These are not in any alphabetical order, as you will see. The first word on the list is an adjective, masterful, and you probably know this already. Anything that is masterful is performed very skillfully. You're at the top of your game if your performance is masterful. You're able to surpass everyone. If there is a palpable undercurrent in the room, you're talking about an underlying feeling that is, or you could call it, or an influence, an underlying feeling or influence that is especially contrary to the prevailing atmosphere. So if everybody's joyful in a particular room and there's an undercurrent between two people, that undercurrent is going to be different from joy, right? And Antonio and Sebastian, you might say, they often have this undercurrent of anger, of resentment, despite the fact that overall the conditions on the island are quite good. To be crestfallen is to be sad or terribly disappointed. Think about Federico when Monna Giovanna winds up eating the falcon. Think about Dante when he's confronted with the lovers. In one scene in Death of a Salesman, there's a flashback where Willie is looking at his young boys and he wants them to simonize the car, which is to polish the car or to clean it. And since we're on that same episode, he says, I want you to use the chamois. Now, a chamois is a piece of leather that's used to clean windows or cars. It doesn't leave streaks. So those two words actually come from a particular scene that you can trace back to Death of a Salesman. I mean, they all come from Death of a Salesman, but specifically it's the flashback about cleaning the car. A measly amount of money would mean a contemptibly small amount. Very few. Measly chances at success. To show initiative is to show the ability to assess things independently. Perhaps even a better way of explaining this would be to say that to show initiative is to show, let me get rid of that, the power or opportunity to act or to take charge. To show initiative means to be preemptive in a way, like Oedipus. He shows initiative by already sending Creon to the oracle at Delphi in order to discover why the city is suffering from this terrible plague. To be anemic, anemia is when you lack iron in the blood. So some of you may actually suffer from anemia and you have to have spinach or raisins or things like that to supplement your nutritional diet. But if you want to use this as an adjective to describe someone, like little Bernard in Death of a Salesman, it means that he is lacking in vitality, in energy, in life. That's energy there, sorry. You're kind of blah, if you're anemic. You have no kind of spunk, no kind of spirit. Gross, we know as an adjective means awful or egregious, but gross as a noun form has to do with profit. How much did you gross on the trip, Willie? How much was your income on the trip? Okay, moving right along. An ignoramus is a stupid person. At one point, Willie calls his neighbor Charlie an ignoramus. To imbue someone is, or to imbue something, is to inspire something or someone, or to permeate with. To let it filter all the way through, to imbue someone with. The mask, for example, the play within a play in The Tempest, the mask was imbued with sparkle and amazement with Iris and Ceres and Juno, right? To give somebody leeway is to give somebody freedom. The amount of freedom that's necessary to move or act. They didn't have much leeway with regard to making the decision. Willie comes in at the beginning of the play holding a valise. A valise is a suitcase or some kind of traveling bag. And you can tell he is exhausted. At one point in the play, Linda calls her youngest boy, Happy, a philandering bum. A philandering man is someone who enters into casual sexual relationships. They're kind of a floozy. And that's what she accuses Happy of doing. Nothing with any kind of meaning. To be remiss is to be negligent. To not be prudent. In other words, lacking care or attention to duty. You might say Theseus was remiss when he forgot to change the sails from black to white. So lacking care or attention to detail. To take a fade, and that's something that Happy admits to, is to kind of disappear gradually from his job and go out and do whatever he wants to do on his lunch hour. So fading, we know, is the idea of disappearing gradually, and he says that he's willing to take a fade, meaning he sets it up so he can just sort of disappear. Commission is the amount of money that you make. If you're working on commission, it's the amount of money, which is a percentage of a certain value. So you might earn, your salary might be 10% commission. So whatever you sell, you get 10% of that bottom line figure. When you're questioning the caliber of someone's character, you're talking about the quality of their integrity or their ability. Willie keeps praising his son Biff as being top caliber, but is he really? What's his track record? What do people say about him? Okay, last page. Saccharin, we know, is something that you put in drinks in order to make it sweet. We could also call a person saccharin when they are excessively sweet or even sentimental, too sentimental. Let me put in parentheses, too. They're excessively sentimental. Carte blanche, in French, means a white piece of paper, an open piece of paper. When someone gives you carte blanche, they're giving you complete freedom to do whatever you want. So if you're the head of the company and have carte blanche, you can act as you wish. Whatever you think is best. You have complete freedom, complete and total freedom. Just like the breakdown of the word, when an instrument is strung too tightly, it's extremely tense, right? So when a person is overstrung, they are extremely nervous or tense. Just like Nora when she's dancing the tarantella. And Torvald says, "You're dancing as if your life depended on it." And she says, "It is, it does." A malted as a noun is a drink. And it is a drink with milk and ice cream and what's called malt. Malt is kind of, I guess you would call it a sort of barley or grain mixed in. It was popular during the 50s and the 40s. You would go in and have a malted at the sweet shop, you know. A louse. Well, we know it's a parasite, right? It's an awful little creature, but we can use this for a person too. A contemptible, unpleasant person is a louse. No redeeming qualities at all, right? To do something out of spite is to do something with the desire to hurt or annoy or offend someone. To do it out of spite. And we just had contemptible. Contemptuous means scornful, disdainful, looking down on something. If you go back to the sonnets, Hélène, you could say, was contemptuous of Ronsard's unsolicited professions of love. And he warns her against it, right? Gather ye rosebuds while you may. In other words, take my love now, instead of being so contemptuous of it. Okay, and there you have it, the words for Unit 20. Thank you.